Over IRS notice CP112. This is the tax notice that the IRS might send you if you had an error on either your IRS form 941, 943, or 944 that resulted in a tax refund. So as you can see, there's not a lot of information here. So the way I was able to understand that was going to a page in the IRS website to a publication that happens to have a table of the possible IRS notices and what they mean. So in this case, CP112 is a math error on Form 941, 43, or 44, resulting in a net overpayment. So these are employer tax returns, basically. So we're going to go through this form. It should be relatively brief because there's not a lot of unredacted information on it. However, let's take a look at the upper right-hand corner where we see the notice number, CP112, the tax period, presumably the year or the quarter that's being represented, followed by the notice date. I always encourage taxpayers to pay particularly close attention to the notice date, because if there is something due or if there's an action item, then you might find that the due date is tied to the notice date. For example, there could be something like, if you don't agree with our assessment, please contact the IRS within 60 days of the notice. So, and then we have the employer ID number and a contact phone number. Over here to the left would be your name and address as the taxpayer. This is the IRS office that would be sending the correspondence. So the second thing I usually encourage people to do is make sure that their address is up to date with the Internal Revenue Service. So if you've just filed your tax return with a new address, the IRS should automatically update your tax record. But if you recently moved and you're not due to file your tax return for a while, let's say it's June of a year, and you know you're not going to file your tax return until the following March, April timeframe, then you might want to go ahead and either call the IRS and validate your information and change your address over the phone, or you can file IRS Form 8822 or IRS Form 8822-B for business owners. That's the official IRS change of address form. So the reason you want to do that is so that if you do get issued a notice, your notice comes to you directly instead of being lost in the mail system. So the IRS, once they send a notice out, they expect that if you don't respond by the deadline that they set, they're just going to assume that you agree with their assessment, right or wrong, and they're going to take the action that they indicated in their notice, regardless of whether or not you got that notice in the first place. So the best way that you can ensure that you get the notice as quickly as possible is to make sure that your address is consistently up to date in the IRS records. So again, changes to this would be the tax year, this would be the form number. For this notice, again, it would be either IRS Form 941, 943, or 944. And those are either employer, non-agricultural, or agricultural tax returns. So again, this appears to be an error in the area of tax computation. This would be the summary of the payments that you made, the difference between that and the tax you owed. That's the refund. The IRS is basically saying if you agree, you don't have to do anything. You should receive that refund check within 4 to 6 weeks. If you don't, you can follow up with the IRS. You can either go to the IRS website There's a page marked "Where's my refund?" You can also file IRS Form 3911, which is basically your kind of a tracer request for a refund check that the IRS might have sent out, and the IRS will track that down and take the appropriate action, whether it's canceling and reissuing a check or responding with some other action that they took. So we'll put links in the show notes to all of these forms, to videos and articles that we've created about these forms that we've mentioned here so far. So at the bottom, you can submit a contact information slip. So if you're going to write or send any written correspondence to the IRS, you would make sure that you include this slip in it. You would write your employer ID number, the form number, the tax period. So in this case, the tax period here was not redacted. The form number is 941, which happens to have been redacted up here, but not down there. So if you don't agree with the changes, call the IRS or write the IRS and discuss your situation. Be prepared with your records when you do make that phone call. And if you're going to send correspondence, make sure you keep copies of everything that you send. So in this case, the IRS found an error in your computation of total Social Security and Medicare tax or FICA tax. So in this case, they break down what they think your taxes withholdings were, what adjustments occurred, and then basically what different overpayments and credits were applied to your situation. And then on page 3 is a breakdown of all of the dates and the amounts of tax deposits. And that's the end of the notice. We'll take a brief jump over to the page about understanding your CP112 notice. Let's see if there's anything that didn't get caught in that redacted example. So if you do have a tax professional, you can send IRS Form 2848, which declares them as kind of the power of attorney handling your affairs for you, if you so wish. There are a couple of frequently asked questions, as well as links to publications that might be important for you. Publication 15, basically the employer's tax guide. If you need to break down tax withholdings, or if you think you might have made a mistake and that's why they issued the refund, you can go through those publications to learn a little bit more about what you can do differently. So that's all we have for this video. As I mentioned, there are a couple of forms we talked about. I'll put links in the show notes to the articles and the videos we've created about those. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, if you have any questions or comments, or if there's something that you'd like to see discussed in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.